You know that specific type of panic that sets in around, say, 2:00 p.m. on a Tuesday?
Oh, I know it well.
You look at your to-do list, then you look at the clock, and you realize the math just isn't going to work.
Mm.
There are not enough hours left.
The time deficit, it's a visceral feeling.
It is. And the standard reaction, at least for me, is to go into this, like, hyper-optimization mode.
Right. Squeeze everything out.
Exactly. I start listening to podcasts at 3x speed. I'm brushing my teeth while checking Slack. I'm trying to squeeze every single drop of productivity out of the minutes I have left.
And I bet at the end of that day, despite all the rushing, you feel like you didn't actually get anything meaningful done.
Not a thing. I'm exhausted. But the big project, it hasn't moved an inch. And that is exactly why we are digging into this deep dive today. We are unpacking Mind Management, Not Time Management, by David Kadavy. And I have to say, the premise of this book feels a bit like an intervention for people like me.
It really is. The core argument here is that for the last, 100 years or so, we have been optimizing for the wrong variable.
The wrong thing entirely.
We've been obsessed with managing time, the clock, the calendar, the schedule, when we really should have been managing our energy, specifically our creative energy.
And just to set the stage here, this isn't just take a nap and you'll feel better.
No, it's deeper than that.
Kadavy is arguing that the very tools we use to be productive are actually relics of a completely different economic era. It's like we're trying to run 21st century software on 19th century hardware.
That's the perfect analogy. The central thesis is that time management was designed for factories.
Right.
It was designed for repetitive, linear tasks. But if you apply those same rules to creative work, and by creative, we mean anything that requires insight, problem-solving, coding, writing.
Pretty much any modern job.
Yeah, you aren't just being inefficient. You're actively destroying your ability to produce good work.
So let's go back to the source of this time worship, as he calls it. Because we haven't always lived our lives in these, like, 30-minute increments. This whole obsession has a birthday, doesn't it?
It does. It basically starts in the late 1800s with a man named Frederick Taylor. If you've ever heard of Taylorism or scientific management, he's the guy.
The man with the stopwatch.
Literally. Taylor would stand in factories, specifically Bethlehem Steel is the famous case study, and he would time workers moving pig iron.
What's pig iron?
Just massive, heavy chunks of raw iron that needed to be moved from a pile to a train car.
So pure manual labor. Heavy lifting.
Purely manual. And Taylor was obsessed with efficiency. He analyzed everything. He figured out the exact angle a worker should bend their knees, exactly how many seconds they should rest.
And the crazy thing is it worked.
It worked incredibly well. Productivity at the steel mill quadrupled.
Which makes sense, right? If the job is lift heavy thing and move it there, then the inputs are linear. If I work for 1 hour, I move 1 ton. If I work for 2 hours,
you move 2 tons. Exactly. It's a linear equation, time equals output. But here is the trap. We took that mindset, the factory mindset, and we drag it into the creative age.
And our work is fundamentally nonlinear.
Right. And this is where the economic concepts come into play. We've all heard of diminishing returns, like the 10th hour of work isn't as good as the first.
Sure.
But Kadavy goes a step further. He talks about negative returns.
This is a crucial distinction.
It is. Diminishing returns just means you're slowing down. But in creative work, if you push too hard, you hit negative returns. You actually start breaking things.
I feel like every software developer listening just nodded their head.
Oh, absolutely. If you are coding a complex app and you are exhausted, but you force yourself to grind for another 2 hours because time is money, you aren't just coding slower. You are writing bugs. You are creating a mess that you or someone else will have to spend 3 days fixing next week.
So that extra 2 hours of hard work actually created a debt. It had negative value.
Precisely. You would have been more productive if you had just gone home and stared at the wall.
That's a hard pivot for those of us raised on hustle culture.
Well, in the factory, doing something is always better than doing nothing. In the laboratory of the mind, doing nothing is often better than doing the wrong thing poorly.
It implies we are moving from an economy of following steps to an economy of insight.
And that shift is accelerating. I mean, think about AI. If a job is just a series of logical, repeatable steps, a computer is going to do it. Humans are being pushed further into the realm of the aha moment.
The novel idea, the strategy.
And you simply cannot force an insight with a stopwatch.
You can't say, okay, I have a meeting from 2.00 to 2.15, and I will have a breakthrough idea then.
It doesn't work that way. And to understand why it doesn't work, we have to look at the neuroscience.
Right, which Kadavy breaks down so well. He uses this puzzle, the remote associates test. I love this because it forces you to feel the mechanism working in real time.
Let's do.
Okay, let's try it on you listening. Here's the setup. I'm going to give you 3 words. Your job is to find the 4th word that connects all 3 of them. Ready?
Ready?
The words are pine, crab, and sauce. I'll give it a beat. Pine, crab, sauce.
Apple.
Boom.
Yeah.
Pineapple, crab apple, applesauce.
No.
Now, if you are listening and you got that, pay attention to how you got it.
Right.
There was probably a moment of silence where your brain felt like it was just spinning its wheels, and then pop, the answer just appeared.
That pop is the holy grail. That is the shift from analytical thinking to insightful thinking.
I love the metaphor the book uses. Analytical thinking is like a jogging path. You can see the finish line. You just put one foot in front of the other.
It's linear. Doing your taxes is a jogging path.
Exactly. But insightful thinking, finding the word apple, is a maze. You start at pine. You think tree, cone, dead end. You back up. You try crab, ocean, shell, dead end.
And that feels frustrating. It feels like nothing is happening.
But unconsciously, your brain is scanning for a loose connection, remote association, and suddenly the wall drops, and you see the center of the maze, apple.
But here's the kicker, and this really blew my mind. To get that insight, you actually have to shut down the smartest part of your brain.
You have to fire the CEO.
That's it.
The CEO being the prefrontal cortex.
Right, the PFC. It's the part of the brain right behind your forehead.
Yeah.
It governs logic, planning, focus, rules.
It's the, no, that's a stupid idea filter.
Exactly. It's great for keeping you on task, but it is terrible for creativity because it filters out the weird ideas before they can connect.
It hates the random loose associations you need to solve the puzzle.
It suppresses them because they look like noise. So to get the insight, you have to lower your defenses.
Which brings us to one of the most counterintuitive takeaways in the book.
Yeah.
The value of being groggy.
Yes, I love this part.
I am not a morning person. At 7 a.m., I am useless. I'm stumbling around, can't find the coffee. I usually feel guilty about how foggy I am. But Kadavy says that fog is a superpower.
It is. When you are groggy, usually first thing in the morning because of sleep inertia, your prefrontal cortex hasn't fully booted up yet.
The CEO is still asleep.
The strict manager isn't at his desk. And that means the filter is weak. It allows those crazy connections, the divergent thinking, to slip through.
So if you try to brainstorm at 2:00 p.m. after 3 coffees, your CEO is wide awake shouting, "Focus."
And blocking all those weird creative pathways. So the advice is to capture the ideas when you're groggy. Edit them when you're caffeinated.
This leads us perfectly into the how. Because you can't just sit around being groggy all day.
Right, hoping for an epiphany, you need a process.
And Kadavy leans on a really classic framework for this, doesn't he?
He does. The 4 stages of creativity. It actually dates back to the 19th century Helmholtz and Wallace. The stages are preparation, incubation, illumination, and verification.
I think most people, myself included, try to skip those middle 2. We go straight from start to finished product.
That's the mistake. Stage 1 is preparation. This is the heavy lifting. This is reading, researching, banging your head against the wall. You are stuffing the black box of your brain with raw data.
And this part is supposed to be hard, right?
Yeah.
You have to reach a point of frustration.
You do. You have to hit that impasse. That signals the brain that it's time for stage 2, incubation.
The part we are terrible at. This is walking away.
It is. And in our culture, walking away looks like laziness. But this is when the work actually happens. When you disengage the conscious mind, the subconscious takes over. It starts running the maze in the background.
And that leads to stage 3, illumination, the aha moment.
The flash. It usually happens when you're in the shower or driving because your prefrontal cortex was distracted and the answers slipped through.
And finally, verification.
The CEO comes back to work. You take that wild idea and you ask, is this actually good or am I just crazy? You edit, you polish, you execute.
The book uses the story of Paul McCartney writing Yesterday to illustrate this, and it totally dismantles the magic genius myth.
It's a perfect example. The legend is that Paul woke up, the entire song was in his head, and boom, hit record.
Which sounds like pure illumination.
Right. But we forget the preparation. He'd spent 10 years playing thousands of hours of music. His brain was loaded. But the really fascinating part is the verification.
He didn't just release it.
No. He was convinced he had stolen it. He thought it must be an old jazz standard he'd heard somewhere. He spent 18 months playing it for people, asking, is this yours? Have you heard this?
That is deep verification. And he had that trick for the lyrics too, right?
This is a masterclass in mind management. He knew that if he tried to switch into lyricist mode, which is a polishing state, he might lose the melody, which was in the generating state.
So he used placeholder lyrics.
Scrambled eggs.
Scrambled eggs, oh my baby, how I love your legs.
It doesn't quite have the same emotional resonance as yesterday.
Definitely not. But it was functional. It allowed him to keep the melody safe while he waited for the right words to incubate. He didn't try to do everything at once.
And that separation keeping generating, separate from polishing, is the tactical core of the book. We are terrible at multitasking our brain states.
Terrible.
And Kadavy offers a framework for this. He calls it the 7 mental states. He uses a mnemonic, P-E-R golf, pay-R, P-E-R-G-P-O-R.
Let's break that down quickly.
It stands for prioritize, explore, research, generate, polish, administrate, and recharge.
Okay, P-E-R, golf, P-R. Now, we don't need to memorize the acronym to get the value. The value is realizing that these are distinct modes, right?
Exactly. It's about batching. It's recognizing that researching uses a totally different part of the brain than generating.
Oh, I fall into this trap constantly. I'm in the generate state, and then I realize I don't know a specific fact. So I stop, open a new tab, and start Googling.
And what happens?
20 minutes later, I'm on Wikipedia reading about the history of the fork, and I've completely forgotten what I was writing.
You switched states. You woke up the CEO to look up a fact, and now he's looking at your draft going, this isn't very good. You've lost the flow.
So the advice is, don't stop. If you don't know a fact, write check fact in brackets and keep moving.
Exactly. Stay in the generate state. Batch all your research for later. Batch all your administration for later.
This sounds simple, but our environment fights us. Our computers are designed to make switching easy. Kadavy talks about slippy tools versus grippy tools.
I love this concept. A slippy tool is something that reduces friction. Your laptop, your smartphone, they're incredibly powerful, but they're slippery.
You slip right into distraction.
Right. You try to write a document and you slip into checking stocks or the news. The friction is so low that you slide right out of your workflow.
So we need grippy tools, tools that add friction to everything except the task at hand.
Right. Pen and paper is the ultimate grippy tool. You can't tab switch on a legal pad, but Kadavy mentions a digital device he loves, the AlphaSmart Neo.
I looked this up. It looks like a plastic toy from the 90s.
It's a brick. It's basically a keyboard with a tiny calculator screen. It shows maybe 4 lines of text, no internet, no apps.
It just captures keystrokes.
It forces you into the generate state because you literally can't do anything else. You can't even really edit on it. It's dumb technology that makes you smarter.
It's part of a broader concept of environment design. The book also mentions the cathedral effect, which I found really interesting.
Yes. There is research suggesting that high ceilings and vast views, like a cathedral or a canyon prime, the brain for abstract, big-picture thinking.
It opens up the mind.
So if you need to brainstorm the 5-year vision for the podcast, you shouldn't do it in your basement office.
Go to a hotel lobby with a huge atrium.
Or a park with a view. But if you need to execute, you need to do your taxes or edit that script, you want the opposite.
Small rooms, low ceilings.
Exactly. Confined spaces trigger a focus on details. It narrows your visual field and your mental field.
So dream in the cathedral, work in the closet.
It's a bit dystopian, but yes, it works.
Okay, let's get tactical for a listener who wants to change their day tomorrow. There's one rule in the book that feels like the keystone habit, the first hour rule.
This is critical. The rule is simple. Spend the first hour of your day on your most important creative project.
Before you check email, before Slack, before the news.
Yes, that before is everything. Because once you check, you've opened the floodgates.
Why is that so bad, though? Why can't I just check quickly to make sure nothing is burning?
Kadavy uses an airport analogy that really nails this. Think about flight delays. If you take the 6:00 a.m. flight, is it usually on time?
Almost always. The plane is just sitting there.
Right. The chaos of the system hasn't accumulated yet. Now, what about the 6:00 p.m. flight?
It's a total gamble. It's delayed because its plane was late from Chicago, because there was a storm in Denver.
Life is the same. By 4:00 p.m., your day is full of cascading delays, random emails, urgent requests. The entropy of the day accumulates.
So if you schedule your most important creative work for the afternoon, you are betting against the chaos.
You're flying standby on the last flight of the night. You'll probably get bumped. Do the important thing first. Get it off the runway before the world wakes up enough to stop you.
There's one final concept I want to unpack. It might be the most abstract, but also the most freeing. The difference between clock time and event time.
This is fascinating. Kadavy moved to Colombia to write this book, and he experienced a huge culture shock around time.
Right, he mentions that in Colombia, if you say a week from today, people often say in 8 days.
Which breaks our Western brains. Monday to Monday is 7 days. It's a math equation. 24 hours times 7, that is clock time.
Time is a container to be filled.
But in event time, which is how many pre-industrial cultures operate, you count the experience of the days. Today counts. Monday is a day. Tuesday is a day. Up to next Monday.
That's 8 distinct experiences.
It's about the activity itself, not the abstract grid. So in event time, a meeting doesn't start at 2:00 p.m. and end at 3 p.m.
It starts when everyone arrives, and it ends when the conversation is finished.
That sounds like a nightmare for a project manager, but the book argues that creative work runs on event time.
Oh, wow.
Think about it. You cannot schedule an insight. You can't say, I will have a breakthrough idea between 2.00 and 2.15.
Okay, brain, be brilliant now.
It doesn't work. The insight happens when the process is complete. When you force creative work into clock time boxes, you create anxiety, you create pressure. And what does pressure do?
It wakes up the CEO, it triggers the prefrontal cortex to say, hurry up, and it shuts down the creativity.
And that's it. So the ultimate mind management move is to carve out blocks of event time in your life, periods where the clock doesn't matter and the task takes as long as it takes.
This really ties it all together. We're trying to run a creative, nonlinear brain in a linear, clock-obsessed world. And we're wondering why we're burnt out.
Exactly. We are treating ourselves like machines in a factory when we should be treating ourselves like scientists in a lab.
So if we step back, the mission here isn't to get more done. It's not about checking more boxes on the to-do list.
No. It's about effective energy management. It's about realizing that if you are taking a nap or staring out the window, if you are doing that intentionally as part of the incubation or recharge phase, that is not laziness.
That is the work.
That is the work. You're letting scrambled eggs turn into yesterday.
Beautifully put. So we'll leave you with this thought. We're taught that time is money. We treat time like it's the scarce resource we have to hoard.
But Kadavy flips it. He suggests we treat our energy like a bank account. It's limited, it drains, and if you go into overdraft, you pay a heavy penalty.
The time.
Time is cyclic. There will be another tomorrow.
So if you treated your energy like the limited resource and your time like the abundant one, how would you change your calendar tomorrow?
That's the question worth asking.
Thanks for deep diving with us. Go fire your CEO for a bit. We'll see you next time.